So let's talk about the traditional process of that. I like the newspaper example of when somebody buys data, they assume, because it almost makes me like think of in the old days where somebody would say, "Hey, Nick, there's a lot of money in foreclosures." And then you would find a list of foreclosures and assume that if something's a foreclosure, it's a deal. And it was like, no, just because it's a foreclosure doesn't mean there's money to be made, doesn't mean somebody's going to accept a lower offer, doesn't even necessarily mean they're actually in that foreclosure. Like, who the hell knows what that is? It's just a starting point. Like you said, it's a possibility. So, where people I think start to get burned out is we take that step you just talked about and they get the possible data and then they burn themselves out calling people or contacting people or wasting marketing dollars on people that maybe really weren't interested. And now we're looking for that needle in a haystack. And again, you got maybe a little bit better of a shot than literally just flying blind, but there's still a lot of money and time wasted. So now if we talk about, well, how do you really know what the motivation is and if these people really want to sell, what are some things that we would traditionally do that could make you maybe have a higher probability of finding somebody that actually wants to sell or is motivated to sell below market value?
The foreclosure is a strategy that some investors use, right? And let's just talk about it from what typically happens, what the majority of the real estate population does if they're doing foreclosures or pre-foreclosures. What's the first thing they do? They go get a list of people that are on the foreclosure list, right? There's a whole list. You can go buy this data that gets accumulated and processed, and you can go buy a list by the county that says these 100 properties, for example, in whatever county are set to go to foreclosure. And then you take that information, you look up the owner record, skip trace them, and you call them. So let me ask you a question. If you're doing foreclosures in Dallas County, okay, and that's what you're doing, and you're waiting for the list to come out 20 days before the foreclosure date, okay, do they just sell that list to one person, do you think? Whoever's generating that foreclosure list? Is that you're just selling it to one? They'll sell it to 1,000, right? So now you have a list that just recently came out. Okay. Do you think that seller knew that foreclosure was probably going to be happening 2 months ago, 3 months ago? They were totally unaware of it and they go, oh my gosh, they're going to foreclose in 20 days. They knew. They may be denying it, but they knew. So now you're competing against other people that have that same list. And now are you the first person that reaches out? Are you the 21st person that reaches out? You might be the best negotiator and you might be able to solve that seller's problem. But if you're the 45th person to reach out, they've already shut you off before you even can get in. That's a problem. So now this is a game of, there's games of skill and there's games of chance. That is a game of chance, okay? Not a game of skill, okay? So now let's go to the other side. So if you knew that a seller was looking to figure out how to get out of a pre-foreclosure situation and how to sell their house, and they raised their hand, and you knew that well before that happened, and not many people knew that that was coming available, and you can actually help them solve a problem. You don't even have to be that good of a negotiator, because if you're one of five and you're average, I'd rather be one of three or five that's average and having that conversation with the seller than the best and having 100 other people beating on their damn door. That's the difference. Plus, it's timing as well. So I don't know if that was a
Yeah.
very clear analogy, but pre-foreclosure is a perfect example of this from that side of it.